Most men don't fail once. They fail daily, quietly, predictably, and without even realizing it. It starts before the day does. The alarm rings, but the first decision isn't to rise, it's to delay. 5 more minutes, then 10, then a scroll. And that tiny moment, that hesitation, becomes a fracture that defines the rest of the day. You tell yourself you'll start strong after breakfast, then after that one email, then after the mood feels right, but momentum doesn't wait. The day has already decided who's in control, and it's not you. Every man knows this feeling. It's not failure with noise or drama. It's that silent kind, the kind that looks like comfort but tastes like guilt. You end the day tired but not fulfilled, busy but not effective. You're moved all day, but nothing actually moved. You'll think you're working hard, but deep down, you'll know you're just circling the same drain. That's how 99% of men live. Running, scrolling, reacting, mistaken, motion for direction. They confuse doing more with doing right. They measure effort, not proof. And it's not because they're weak, it's because they're unstructured. No system, no rhythm, no anchor that holds the day together when willpower collapses. Imagine a ship without a compass. It doesn't matter how strong the sails are, one wrong current and it drifts. That's how most men operate. Every day is wind, noise, reaction, no map, no coordinates, just motion. And the worst part, they think this is normal. They think this chaos is life. They even defend it, calling it flexibility, freedom, balance. But freedom without structure is just disorder in disguise. And motivation without routine is just noise that burns out before sunrise. You can see it in the small things. The unread book that's been next on your list for 6 months. The gym shoes collecting dust by the door. The notebook half filled with plans that never left the page. You tell yourself you'll start again Monday. You tell yourself you just need a better mindset. But mindset doesn't change without movement. And movement means system. The 1% understand this. They're not louder. They're not more gifted. They're just structured. They live by a loop. Plan, execute, review every single day. They don't chase motivation. They manufacture momentum. They don't wait for the right mood. They start before it arrives. They don't negotiate with the day. They command it. That's why they win. Not because they're stronger, but because they've made discipline mechanical. While everyone else is trying to feel ready, they're already running the loop. Think about it. When was the last time you truly owned a morning? Not reacted to it, not survived it, but owned it. When was the last time your actions matched your standards? When your word meant schedule, not someday. You don't need more inspiration. You need one simple, non-negotiable system. A routine so clear, it removes thought. Because every time you stop to think, you leave space for excuses to breathe. That's why most men fail. Not from lack of effort, but from lack of structure to hold effort in place. And that's the fracture that decides the line between the 99% and the 1%. You can feel it right now. That edge between who you are and who you said you'd be. The version that scrolls and waits and the version that plans and moves. The question is simple. Which side are you training today? Comment if this sounds like your loop. And if it does, stay here. Because what comes next is the system that breaks it. Silence. Breathe. Now, we build. Here's the truth. Nobody wants to say out loud. Most men don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they still believe effort without structure will save them. They wake up hoping to feel ready, as if discipline were a feeling that arrives when the timing is right. They tell themselves they'll start when they feel it, but feeling is a liar. Motivation doesn't last because it's emotional. Structure lasts because it's mechanical. And when you depend on emotion, you give control to chaos. You can test it yourself. Think about the last time you felt unstoppable. Maybe a Monday morning, maybe after a motivational video. For a few hours, everything made sense. You felt like a machine, but by Wednesday, that version of you was gone. Why? Because emotion fades faster than proof. Motivation is like caffeine. It spikes, then crashes. Structure is like breathing. Steady, automatic, necessary. The illusion is simple. Most men chase energy instead of order. They chase mood instead of system. And they think discipline is built on intensity, when in reality it's built on repetition. You don't rise to the level of your emotion. You fall to the level of your structure. Look at any man who's in control of his life. Not perfect, not dramatic, just consistent. He doesn't talk about motivation, he talks about systems. He doesn't wait for clarity. He builds clarity through execution. It's like training a muscle. You don't think your way to strength. You'll repeat the same movement until your body understands it better than your mind. But the 99% won't do it. They'll spend their lives searching for that next spark, a new book, a new challenge, a new morning routine that looks disciplined, but still depends on energy. They'll dress the illusion in productivity, new apps, new journals, new slogans, yet nothing sticks. Why? Because none of it replaces the one thing that matters, structure that doesn't ask how you feel. Every time you rely on emotion, you're gambling your future on chance. Every time you rely on structure, you're engineering it. And here's the paradox. The more mechanical your system becomes, the more freedom you gain. Because real freedom isn't doing whatever you want, it's doing what you said you would, without friction. The 99% talk about balance. They confuse balance with softness, comfort, moderation. But balance isn't the absence of struggle, it's the control of it. It's the ability to hold pressure without losing form. You can tell who has structure by how they handle silence. When the noise stops, most men panic, they reach for distraction. But the 1% use that silence as signal. It's the sound of alignment. No noise, no negotiation, just direction. Picture two men at dawn. One scrolls his phone, looking for a reason to begin. The other opens his notebook and writes one line. Today, I'll run the loop. Same time, same world, different system. By nightfall, their lives are no longer equal. You can't fix your life by waiting for better days. You fix it by removing the choice to fail. And that's what a real routine is. Not motivation wrapped in effort, but architecture. Something you build once and maintain daily. Something so clear it removes emotion from the equation. Stop chasing the feeling, start building the framework. Because the 1% don't wake up inspired, they wake up aligned. And alignment doesn't come from hype, it comes from proof. So if you've been running on emotion, consider this your moment to step out of it. You don't need another surge of willpower. You need a system that works even when you don't feel like it. If this hits, subscribe. We build discipline here. Now, let's break down the system that separates the ones who talk from the ones who execute. System, the 1% routine. Every system that lasts has one thing in common. It removes negotiation. That's what the 1% understand. They don't run on emotion. They run on structure. Their routine is simple enough to survive chaos, yet strong enough to rebuild control. It's not a schedule. It's not a challenge. It's a loop plan. Execute. Review. That's it. 3 words that rebuild everything. Because every man needs a system that survives a bad mood, a bad day, or a bad week. This one does. Let's break it down. 1. Plan to anchor 5 minutes at dawn before the noise starts, before the world touches you. There's one moment of silence. That's when the 1% plan. Not long, not fancy. 5 minutes. They open a notebook, no phone, no notifications, and write 3 lines. Line 1, today's single priority. One action that actually moves life forward. Line 2, 3 small tasks that support that priority. Line 3, the exact hour they'll begin. That's it. Not a wish list, a commitment. Most men overplan. They fill pages with ideas and call it preparation. But the 1% know. Clarity isn't born from complexity, it's born from reduction. Planning isn't about predicting the day. It's about building the first strike. Once the pen moves, the mind follows. You might think 5 minutes can't change much, but those 5 minutes decide who commands the next 16 hours. Because without that anchor, the day decides for you, and the day never decides in your favor. To execute the proof, 90 minutes plus the body execution is where most men collapse. They confuse activity with impact, and when energy fades, they drift. The 1% remove that weakness by running a fixed block, 90 minutes of unbroken focus, one task, one mission, no negotiation, no background music, no phone in sight. Just the sound of work, typing, breath, motion. 90 minutes might not sound heroic, but when you repeat it daily, it compounds faster than you imagine. That's how routines become engines, not through passion, but through precision. The system doesn't end with the mind, it continues with the body. After the work block, they move 30 to 45 minutes of physical training because the body resets the system. It burns noise, it sharpens focus, it turns thought into rhythm, stress into fuel. That's why the 1% train even when they don't feel like it. It's not for aesthetics, it's for control. They understand that when the body obeys, the mind follows. Picture it, 90 minutes of focused work, 40 minutes of training, 2 anchors that cut through the fog. Everything else fits around them, not the other way around. 3. Review the mirror, 5 minutes at dusk. The loop closes where it began in silence. The 1% take 5 minutes before sleep. Notebook open, no scrolling, no noise. They score the day 0 or 1. Did I run the loop or did I skip it? No gray area. Then they write one line. Where did I slip? Not to judge, to adjust. Because growth isn't built on intensity, it's built on awareness. Last, they write tomorrow's first line. So when dawn comes, there's no decision to make, only execution to continue. That's the invisible advantage. The 99% close their eyes with noise. The 1% close their eyes with structure. This is the 1% routine. Plan, execute, review 15 minutes to frame the day. 2 hours to prove it. 5 minutes to lock it in. No app, no secret. No motivation required. Just rhythm, repetition, and results. It's mechanical, but alive. Because what starts as routine becomes identity. And identity never needs reminders. It runs on proof. You'll know it's working when silence stops feeling empty. When your mornings feel predictable in the best way. When you don't chase results, you expect them. The 1% don't run on talent. They run on loops. If this clicked, subscribe. We build discipline here. Tomorrow, we'll take this loop off the page and put it into motion. Because knowing the system isn't enough. You have to live it. Application, run it today. Knowing the system means nothing until you run it once. Today, not Monday, not next week. Now the loop is simple on paper. Plan, execute, review. But simplicity doesn't mean ease. It means clarity. And clarity demands proof. Let's walk through what it actually looks like. 1. The morning, the signal, it's early. The world's still asleep. You don't feel like moving yet. Nobody does. The bed feels heavier when you start changing your life. But here's the rule. The body moves first. The mind follows, so you stand up. Feet on the floor. Cold air, silence. You walk to the sink. Splash cold water on your face. For the sensation. For the signal. That single shot tells your body, we start now. You grab the notebook. No phone. No music. Just breath. You write 3 lines. 1 habit. 90 minutes of focus on your highest task. Checklist. 3 small moves that support it. Start time. 6 a.m. That's the anchor. That's your first win. Men never even write that down. They think discipline begins with motivation. It begins with a pen. That page is your contract for the day. And when you close the notebook, the clock starts. 2. The work block. The proof the phone is out of reach. Notifications off. Timer on. 90 minutes. 1 target. You don't multitask. You don't drift. You work like a machine with a pulse. At first it feels awkward. Your thoughts bounce. Your focus shakes. Your body wants distraction. That's the withdrawal, the mind detoxing from chaos. But 10 minutes in, something clicks. Your brain stops chasing noise and starts building momentum. The cursor moves. The hands flow. You stop thinking about time and start thinking about precision. Halfway through you want to quit. That's the wall. You breathe through it, not heroically, just calmly. Because this isn't punishment, it's order. When the timer hits 0, you look up and realize you've done more in 90 minutes than most men do all day. That's not hype. That's math. Then you move, literally. 3. The body to reset. No need for perfection. No fancy gear. No dramatic music. Just movement. Run, lift, stretch. It's not about the numbers. It's about the rhythm. The sweat resets the mind. The breath locks into focus. This is where your system becomes physical. The body cleans the mental residue of distraction. Each rep is proof that motion builds order, even on tired days. Especially on tired days. That's when the 99% stop and the 1% begin. Because anyone can execute when it's easy. Discipline only counts when it's not. And yes, some days you'll miss. You'll oversleep. You'll skip the workout. The point isn't perfection. It's return. Systems fail when they're abandoned, not when they bend. So when you fall off, you restart the next dawn. No emotion, no guilt, just movement again. For the dusk, the mirror evening. No lights, no screens. Just a notebook again. You flip back to the same page. Did I run the loop? 0 or 1. No halfway. If it's a 1, you mark it clean. If it's a 0, you write the truth. Where did I slip? That single line is your mirror. It keeps you accountable without shame. Then you write tomorrow's first line. It's small, but it changes everything. Because when dawn returns, you already know what to do. That's the loop closing. That's structure turning into identity. 5. The environment. The frame discipline doesn't live in your willpower. It lives in your surroundings. Clean desk. No clutter. Timer in sight. Notebook open. That's your battlefield. Because environment either feeds focus or kills it. You can't build a sharp mind in a noisy room. You can't build consistency in chaos. Every night, reset your space. Remove 1 distraction. Lay out your gear. Make it impossible to escape your plan. You'll start to notice the world feels quieter. Decisions shrink. The mind stops negotiating because the environment already decided. That's how structure becomes freedom. Not through rules, but through rhythm. Now you've seen it. The real day of the 1%. No hype, no miracles. Just small repeatable actions that run deeper than emotion. And the proof is this. If you run this loop for 7 days, you'll feel it change you. Not through motivation, through evidence. Because every time you plan, you prove clarity. Every time you execute, you prove strength. Every time you review, you prove ownership. That's identity in motion. Pause now. Write your 1 habit below. Then execute it tomorrow. Don't wait to feel ready. Readiness is built through repetition. You're not chasing motivation anymore. You're building a machine. Identity from routine to brotherhood. At some point, the routine stops feeling like work. It starts feeling like order. You wake up and you don't think. You move. You open the notebook. You write the line, you breathe, you act, and for the first time, life feels silent in the right way. That silence is not emptiness. It's alignment. It's proof that you no longer need noise to feel alive. Most men never reach this point. They spend years looking for intensity, chasing sparks, burning out again and again. They mistake friction for progress, chaos for growth. But you've started to see it. Discipline isn't fire, it's structure. It's repetition without resistance. And once you taste that kind of control, there's no going back. You start noticing details others miss. The sound of your breath during work, the way the pen feels when it moves with purpose, the quiet pride that comes when you check one small box, not for applause, but for proof. You stop chasing new systems because you've built one that works. And more than that, you've become it. That's the transition no one talks about. At first, the routine is something you do. Then, it becomes something you are. The loop isn't just plan, execute, review anymore. It's how you live, how you speak, how you carry yourself when no one's watching. You start to realize the real 1% aren't superhuman. They're just consistent long enough to become unbreakable. They don't perform discipline. They embody it. There's a calmness in their eyes, not arrogance, not hardness. Just a quiet knowing, I've already proven it today. Because proof doesn't need to shout. It just needs to repeat. And when you live like that, something else happens. You stop feeling alone in the work. You start seeing others who move the same way, silent, structured, focused. They don't talk about someday, they talk about today. You'll recognize them immediately, because order recognizes order. That's brotherhood, not built on words, but on proof of work. Men who don't compete for attention, only for execution. Men who understand that running the loop isn't punishment, it's privilege. You'll have days when the system feels heavy, days when the body resists, when the mind tries to bargain. That's fine. The 1% feel it too. They just don't listen, because identity isn't how you feel. It's what you repeat, and in time, you'll notice the change. Not loud, not dramatic, quiet, like steel cooling after fire. You'll move differently, speak differently. People will notice, but they won't understand. They'll call it discipline. You'll know it's peace. And one day, you'll close your notebook, look at the last line, and realize you haven't been chasing motivation for a long time. You've been building proof. That's what the 1% run on. Not energy, not emotion. Proof, no hype, no noise, only execution. If you're rebuilding, subscribe, come at your commitment. We run the loop together. Because that's what this is. Not a routine, not a ritual. A brotherhood of men who choose order over chaos, clarity over noise, proof over talk. We run the loop.